Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here. Well, here we are, guys. We have finally reached the point in 2019 where one of the most controversial yet talked about films has officially hit theaters. And it's been quite an interesting story over the last couple of years. Of course, if you've been living under a rock, we're reviewing the final installment in now what is known as the Star Wars Skywalker saga, with Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, starring John Boyega, Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, Oscar Isaac, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Billy D. Williams, and of course, for his final time, most likely, Anthony Daniels as C-3PO. So, guys, I honestly have no idea where this video is going to go, because there's definitely a lot to be said, but a lot of it has already been said by a great many of critics, fans, and members of this YouTube community. So I'm just going to give it my best shot with my own unique perspective. So, my thoughts about Star Wars have been so-so, especially getting a little bit older and being exposed to a lot of great classic movies and of course some amazing movies that are brand new. So even though I adored Star Wars as a child, as I got older and started to really get an understanding and an appreciation for film, I realized that Star Wars really isn't some of the greatest stuff that I've seen in the world of film. And after seeing The Last Jedi, while I know there are still a couple of parts of that movie that are good, but most of it is not, with the rhetoric and the fighting between fanboys and social justice warriors, it's just a massive dumpster fire. And even though I really know I shouldn't be a part of it, my 2 cents always has to be given. So, after my dissatisfaction with The Last Jedi, and really not even thinking too much about Solo: A Star Wars Story, even though I had fun with it, Star Wars Episode 9 was a movie that I had very, very, very low expectations for. I'm talking 7th circle of hell low expectations. So, walking out of the theater, honestly, I'm kind of glad that I had those expectations, because while I didn't think that the movie was god-awful, and I didn't hate it, I didn't think that it was anything special either. But in regards to what I just said, let's go into the details as to why I felt that way. So, there are some really good things to take away from The Rise of Skywalker. First and foremost, the best part of this movie, which is one of the few things that nobody, at least most, are not even talking about, is John Williams' score. This is one of the best installments in the Star Wars universe in terms of music that John Williams has brought to the table. These are amazing, powerful songs that really drive this movie, and I'm just so glad that even through all of the skepticism and controversy, and even without George Lucas, John Williams stuck with this franchise and gave us a great score. Also, J.J. Abrams as a director definitely picked up the pieces where Rian Johnson left off. He finally moved the characters forward. He gave us more to really appreciate from Rey, Finn, and Poe. I thought the dynamic between the three of them was very reminiscent of Luke, Han, and Leia. Really, really similar between them. Not necessarily the exact same thing, but there definitely was charm, there was true camaraderie, and they really bounced off of each other very well, especially Oscar Isaac and John Boyega. And it made me so happy because of the fact that John Boyega got basically shot down from the powerful introduction that he got in The Force Awakens, and The Last Jedi really didn't do much with him. Even Kelly Marie Tran, coming back as Rose, I wouldn't necessarily say that she got jar-jarred in this movie, because she did have a great deal of lines, and she really was integral to the final assault on the First Order, as well as the not-so-surprising appearance of Emperor Palpatine, and of course Ian McDiarmid returned to play this role. Probably one of the most powerful parts of this film is Adam Driver's performance as Kylo Ren. He really gave me the best performance in all three of these films. I appreciated the struggles, I appreciated the emotions. He really poured his heart and soul into this character, and I really loved everything that Adam Driver added to the Star Wars universe, and I'm grateful that they casted him, because whether people say positive or negative things about Kylo Ren, I personally saw nothing but positive stuff from this character and Adam Driver. I don't necessarily think that this is a positive, but I don't necessarily feel that this is a negative either. A lot of people have said that because of the direction that J.J. Abrams gave to this final installment, that he was sort of sweeping The Last Jedi under the rug. And in my honest opinion, I don't think that that is the case. A friend of mine who's a true Star Wars fan said to me that when Episode 9 comes out, I feel that you're going to appreciate and understand the purpose of The Last Jedi. And that's what I think Rise of Skywalker did. It put Episode 8 in its place. Now I truly understand where it fits. I understand how it is an integral part of this sequel trilogy, and I feel that if I watch episodes 7 through 9 back to back to back, I will definitely see how all three of them fit. But that's pretty much all the good stuff that I have to say about this film. There's a great deal of things that I was not happy with. That's pretty much the reason why I feel that this movie was just okay and it wasn't anything great. And that's just because of everything, whether it was in blogs, whether fandoms were saying, the skepticism, the leaks, all of this just drove The Rise of Skywalker down to the final moment when I watched this movie, and I just realized, even though there were great action sequences, there was great things to appreciate in this film, this was without a doubt a go-for-broke, desperate cry for help. The nostalgia was basically thrown at rapid fire to truly try and satisfy those fans, whether they were called fanboys or man-babies or whatever they were called. Basically, J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy just tried to pull out all the stops and say, let's make sure that when this saga comes to an end, everyone's gonna appreciate it. But I saw right through this clever disguise. I mean, don't get me wrong, Billy D. Williams and Ian McDiarmid were definitely part of the nostalgia, but I definitely appreciated their presence. I mean, I loved, even though he didn't have the largest of roles, Lando Calrissian coming back, which was something I was glad that did happen at the end. You know, he turned on the charm. He made me happy. I appreciated every moment that he had on screen. Having Emperor Palpatine back is not necessarily something that surprised me, because now the no longer canon Star Wars stuff that was basically written in books and comics, there have been a great deal of times where the Emperor had returned as a clone, so I totally understood that. But at the end of the day, everything that they threw out at me, you know, they tried to suck me in, but I was able to resist, even though there were some parts that I really did like. At the end, I just didn't really care much for the ending of this story. I did somewhat appreciate the fact that it wasn't a major epic ending. It was a very quiet, very subtle ending, because that's pretty much how I felt when I finished The Rise of Skywalker. And I do plan to see this movie again. I do feel that now that it's here, there definitely is rewatchability, not just for this movie, but for the other two films in this trilogy as well, because I truthfully felt that when I was walking into this movie that I was going to hate it so much that I was going to take my copies of The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi and just throw them in the garbage. And now I'm happy to say that The Rise of Skywalker, if it did anything, it prevented that from happening in my world. But I will get this movie on DVD. I will watch episodes 7, 8, and 9 again, but then I'm going to do something that I really feel that Kathleen Kennedy, if she's still employed with Lucasfilm, and Bob Iger, and anybody else that's attached to Star Wars can do the exact same thing. And that is just take Star Wars, put it on the shelf, and just forget about it for a little while. Just let them collect a little dust, let them age for about 20 years, maybe think about bringing them back during the 50th anniversary of the original Star Wars, but I really feel at this point in time that Star Wars just needs to be forgotten for a little while. It's still a revolution in cinema. It is still something that a great many people will appreciate, whether you are fans of the prequels or not, or even the sequels or not, even if you don't even like the original trilogy, because there are many people that don't even like the original trilogy, but many people just live by these movies, and live by this story, and live by these characters. And that's definitely someone that I am. I truly appreciate Star Wars for what it is, and the impact that it's made in movies, but after everything that has happened, especially since they decided to continue the Star Wars saga, I feel that Star Wars just needs to be let go for a little while and not even be touched. Just let it grow, let it just be what it is for now, and one day we'll look back on these films and hopefully we'll take a look at all of Star Wars as a whole and say, you know what, it's not so bad. So that's the way I feel about The Rise of Skywalker. It's not so bad, which is why I'm going to be giving Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, 2.5 stars out of 4. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please leave your comments in the box below, and let's discuss Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, and I will see you in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.